Hello and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Kinsey. In today's episode, we are going to be taking this bone that I had found and turning it into a vase. I'm really excited to do this, and I hope you guys enjoy. So the very first mistake I seem to have made is using oil paint on the bone. It doesn't really seem to like that at all. I also forgot to prime it. So thankfully the oil paint is dry now, and I only got about 1/3 of it painted. So we'll go ahead and put on some clear varnish as a primer, and then we will paint it using a acrylic white instead of the oil-based white. The varnish is going to take about 30 minutes to an hour to dry completely, and then we will start with the acrylic paint. While covering the bone, don't forget about the inside and all the tiny crevices. Now that it is dry, let's go ahead and retry this again with the flat matte acrylic paint. This process does take a while. It is white, so you're probably going to want to put 2 to 3 different coats on it. So go ahead and throw on a show that you like or some music that you can jam to and just enjoy the ride. Now you want to wait a couple of hours to make sure that it cures all the way. I tend to paint late in the evening and let it cure overnight. The following day was a vending event, and because I was bored, I went ahead and started sketching our design. I do like to always bring a project with me when I'm vending. It tends to be a really good icebreaker. Curiosity tends to get the best of people, and they definitely will start asking questions. Now that we are back home, it is time to start painting the first layer of our design. Again, we are going to continue using the acrylic paint for this project. I've seen a few different bone pieces that were starch white with a pop of metallic, and I just love how it looks. So we're going to try it with this bronze. It looks so cool like this. I love being able to see all of the different folds and definitions of the points and ends of this bone. It really just makes it pop. Taking the absolute smallest brush that I currently have to start the design. This brush was cut down a little bit, so it does not provide the smoothest of lines, but I'm not going for hyperrealism here. Cartoonism is more than okay with me. Just trust the process. It's always going to look like a kindergartner painted it on the first layer. Just keep going and keep adding. Now it's time for the clay. Wouldn't it be easier if we could just... But as far as sensory goes, I love playing with foam clay. It's so soft and malleable and just chef kiss. I waited about 12 hours and then began painting onto the foam clay. Now we are doing our second layer. We tend to do about 3 or 4 when it comes to adding the details and definition. Being very cautious to not smear any of the paint. Feel free to go back and forth from side to side. Doing that does tend to speed up the process a little bit just when it comes to drying times. For the finishing touch on our moths, I'm going to go ahead and bring in the metallic but instead of bronze, we're going to go with gold. I am pleased with how all of the paint is coming out. Now it is time to stain our fingers green by adding the moss on. Because I did these using a foam clay as well as acrylic paint, they're not the most sturdy of materials. So I do like to go ahead and go in with UV resin to encapsulate them. This process can be a little tricky and frustrating, but if you do it bit by bit, as you go back and forth between curing it and to adding it, then the process should go a little bit smoother. You don't want to accidentally smear this onto the moss, and you want to make sure that it doesn't drip because it will dry with the drip marks on it. Before we can officially call this a base, we do need to give it a fake bottom. So I'm going to take the foam clay, create the seal it with UV resin after it's painted, and call it done. As I had stated earlier in this video, the foam clay does need about 12 hours to dry before you paint it. Therefore, I did this at night right before bedtime, and I will paint and seal it when I wake up. If you've made it this far into the video, I just wanted to say thank you so much. Your support really means the world to us, and special shout out to all of our patrons. We could not do this without you guys. It is October 1st, so we have just started our Inktober challenge for the month. If you would like to join, it is only $3, and we would love to challenge you and see what you create. As always, thank you so much for watching, and here's the reveal. And we hope that you enjoy. Come back next week for another episode, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.